Good evening and welcome to another episode of Mindful Conversations. My name is Dr. Lori Monaco with Align Yourself Inc. I am a life coach specializing in transformation and mindfulness practice. I'm also a speaker, a holistic practitioner, and I'm also known as the Badass Buddha. Tonight's conversation with this beautiful, strong, and compassionate woman, Daiana Negron. And let me tell you a little bit about Dee, as she is lovingly referred to by the special people. I'm a special person, so you can call her that. So during her quest of improving her own health, she was introduced to the field of integrative medicine with the internal growth she experienced throughout her journey. She was motivated to welcome the community to body therapy by day. Enabling her the opportunity to share indigenous treatments, traditional medicine, and simple practices to assist your body's organic healing process. She says it's been a blessing to learn new modalities to help others improve their overall health, and she hopes to share these forgotten concepts with all the people that she touches. She is also the founder and main person for the charity organization known as Journal of Hope, which we will discuss in tonight's show. So welcome, Daiana. How are you, my dear?
Good morning. How
Good
are you?
I'm good. I'm well. Thank you so much. How is everything? How have you been doing over the last few months coping with all this COVID stuff, and you're a mom and you got 3 kids and all that homeschooling, and how'd you do with all of that?
It was interesting. I think in March, the beginning of March, I was still working. So it never switched that change was here, right? And I had the kids at home, and I think it was like a week into the shutdown where I was like, OMG, I miss going to work. I miss having responsibilities, right? Yes, being a mother is a responsibility, but I like my time at the office and I love what I do. So it took me some time to switch gears and go into full-time mommy mode. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't too happy. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared.
I wasn't either.
I have a elementary school student, middle school student, and high school student. So everybody was doing distant learning. And I was like, what? Who only have one computer? Who gets the computer? Wi-Fi is acting up. Teachers are teaching at the same time for each grade level, but they cannot be on at the same time. So what? Organizational skills came out to the T. I created calendars. I created a schedule, a TV schedule, electronic schedule, like schedules for myself. And that's what helped me kind of manage what was going on, the new change. Personally, I really took some time to like heal. I had a lot of work that I was already integrating into my life previously, and what a great opportunity to solely focus on that. So truckloads of meditation, truckloads of prayer, truckloads of downtime, and accepting it and being okay with it. And I've said this a few times, but I think it was a blessing, these 3 months, because I would have never given myself this break. I would have never given myself the time to take care of myself because, as you said, I'm juggling a lot and other things hold a priority than others. And it was great. I really, I know it's COVID and I do not want to seem like I'm taking it lightly because I'm not. I respect what's going on, but I was not prepared to let fear inside of my heart. It was an opportunity to grow. And as we have highlighted in some of our conversations, plenty of time to work on the nonprofit Journal of Hope, really sew things together, put things in place, get the ball moving. So as much as collectively there was somewhat of a downtime, there was still things that needed to be done.
That's why I really wanted to have you on the show, especially because I feel you are the epitome of what it means to be mindful based. We've known each other for a few years now, and you never cease to amaze me with what you are capable of doing. Truly, you are just an amazing young woman, and you took this time during, this. I mean, listen, it's hard enough to have the kids homeschooling, but single mom, and you're the business owner, and your business got shut down because it was that type of business that needed to be closed during that time period. And you took it and you just ran with it. And when you hit those challenges, you looked internally. You also observed externally. What can I change? What can I fix? I'm not shocked about the schedules. Like I've known you for a long time to know, like, I could just see your wall and see the schedules hanging up on the wall because that is so you. But that is what has allowed you to have the successes that you have had, considering some of the challenges that you've had in your life. And for me to say that I'm proud of what you have accomplished and I'm proud to know you is like, it doesn't even really exactly describe how I feel, because I love being around strong people in general. I mean, yes, we could sit there and say strong women. We can go even deeper and say, strong Latina woman. But I just love strong people in general. I love when people just say, this sucks. They can just say this. Like, it's nice to say this is challenging, but just say, actually, no, this really sucks. But what am I going to do to get through this? What can I do differently? And then to honor yourself with the fact that you looked at it saying, my gosh, I have all these extra things to do now. There's other things that aren't in place, which I have to worry about finances and so forth, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to focus on what I need to do. But I'm also going to take the time for me to heal, because a lot of people didn't do that. I've had a lot of clients who were saying that, they've been working even harder because a lot of their businesses have been taking advantage of them, where they're like, well, you're accessible all day. So they've been making them work like 10, 12 hours. But for you to recognize, okay, listen, within the midst of all this, I need to take the time for myself. What is the universe or God giving me? Giving me time. It's giving me the gift of time, which so few of us understand as a gift. Yeah. So, but that being said, so my first question to you, you're a single mom with three, crazy age groups, really. You're an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. You created and run a charity organization. So we're going to get into the organization shortly, because it's really important for you to explain to everybody what it is so that people could be on board with it and contribute to it, because it's a fabulous organization. And especially because you took this time during COVID to say, okay, I'm not working and I'm not going to sit there and feel sorry for myself. This is what I'm going to do instead. And you really catapulted the organization in that time period. So what do you do, though, to ground yourself and create balance in your life when you can?
So what I've done now, literally, is when things get chaotic, I sit down, crisscross applesauce. I am literally grounding myself now, because I'm not only feeling an energetic shift within me, I also feel everything around me, in my environment, in the world. So I've literally recently have been sitting down. And there are obviously other ways of grounding. You don't have to physically do that. You can just pause for a second. I love walking barefoot, whether in my office, I'm always barefoot. People are constantly looking at my toes, but outside, I do it outside. I go to the beach. I like to connect with the earth. I like to literally ground myself. But recently, right, during this timeline, I've sat down, just sit down, whether it's in a quiet stillness, whether it's in a sense of guidance, whether it's in a sense of prayer. I just sit and I'm like, what do I need? Like I ask myself, what do I need right now? So that has been a technique that I've been doing lately a lot for grounding and honoring what I'm feeling. Because sometimes you're feeling something and you ignore it because you got to do X, Y, and Z. But then X, Y, and Z turns into a hot mess because you didn't honor where you were at. So I like to honor where I'm at, how I'm feeling, check in, and then I go about and do my business. So that's how I've been doing the whole grounding as of lately. Like I'm literally sitting down, like it's a halt. The kids know mommy's at the altar. Like she's sitting, she's like they know now. Yeah, no, it helps. It helps me. Not only that, and I've told you this before, it's important for me to be a role model to them so that they can understand that, like I'm not a mom that cries in the bathroom anymore. I'm crying wherever I need to cry because I need them to understand that emotions are okay.
Yes.
And we need to self-regulate, and self-regulate isn't always drinking. Self-regulate isn't overeating. Self-regulate is not entertaining a sexual activity that you possibly don't need at that time in your life, or engaging in unnecessary stuff. So you know what? And not that sex is unnecessary. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is sometimes we get
I'm glad you clarified that.
But yeah, I want to teach them how to self-regulate. Like mommy has her ups and downs, and this is what mommy does because oh, don't cry, because you know I have to prepare them for a day that I'm not going to be here. Yeah. And I want them to go through an emotion and go, what would mommy have done? Oh, right. Now they had a visual aid, not only words, right, that they might not remember, but they have a visual aid. Go, right, that's right. The lady just sat down. So they're learning that, you know, and then obviously, hopefully they'll start integrating other things in it. But yeah, that's currently what I'm doing. And I love it. I love it. And I need to do it more in the evenings where to kind of close out my day. I think it'll help me more.
There's two things that I want to address in what you said. So first off, with the being real in front of your kids, I think I'm the same way. And I think it's really essential because when you hide it, they don't understand. You don't give them really great coping skills. And it's not even just a matter of when we're not going to be here for them anymore. It's more, they're going to be interacting with people their whole entire lives. And they'll have a significant other at some point, and they'll understand feelings, and they'll understand their feelings, and they'll be able to express them better. You know, you have a daughter and two sons, and, you know, with girls, it's always, most of the time, it's always understood that we can be that way. It's okay. We give permission for that, not so much with boys. And it also teaches them compassion. It makes them make their decision on how they want to handle a situation. You know, like I know sometimes when I feel upset and I start crying or something like that for something, whatever it is, and my littlest one will come up to me and she'll ask me, you know, are you okay? And I'll say, yeah, mommy's just a little sad right now. And she'll put her arm around me and she'll just hug me. And it's not that I ask her to do it. She just prompts it herself, you know, versus, you know, some people don't handle that really well. So they get angry at you sometimes for crying, or they try to make a joke of it, you know, rather than just being there and being present. And I always let her know when she's like that. I'm like, mommy really appreciates that. You know, that was beautiful that you did that, especially when she does it on her own at 6-7 years old.
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned was you ask yourself questions. Mm-hmm. And you ask yourself, you know, how am I feeling right now? Like, and I think that is very key. You know to stop and sit, and then you ask yourself pertinent questions, because I think that's part of the problem too, is that we might honor ourselves with some space, but we don't ask ourselves how we're feeling. How are you feeling? Like, what am I feeling right now? What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? What can I do to help myself? Maybe it is just be still and be quiet. Maybe it's ask for help from the kids or from another source, your tribe members or whatever. And I do that all the time. I'm forever asking myself questions. If I respond appropriately, I'll honor that. And not that I ask a question with that, but if I react poorly, I usually ask myself, what's up with that? Like, what is going on with you? Why are you feeling this way? Why are you snapping? What do you need to do to fix this? So what you're basically saying is that you have become more and more aware of your needs, what you're able to do to self-regulate, the awareness of those little people around you, and not so little, because I know your oldest is not so little, but those little people, or those little humans that are going to take that information in and say, okay, this is what mom used to do, and might fight you now about it, but one day when they're by themselves, sit down and say, yeah, okay, this is what mom did.
I get it.
It feels
And
pretty
the
good.
thing is, it's funny that you mention it. I was raised to suppress feelings. When my dad died and we were driving up to the church where they were doing the presenting of the body, I was told to stop crying. And I had to nip it quick. And it was a quick shutdown. And I think that hindered me as an adult to be able to have, I want to use the word legit, but it's not precisely what I want to use, but to have that connection with people, to have that connection with myself, to self-express, right? I always walked around very seriously. I still have this serious space, and people think I'm upset, and it's like, no, I'm not. I'm actually cool, or I'm
she
happy.
Is. I promise she is.
Yeah,
she
and
really
it's like,
is cool.
But you have to get to know me, right? But for you to understand that I don't display too many emotions with my face, right? Well, I've gotten better at being more vocal, but that was my upbringing. And so I want to be different with the kids, where they understand that all their feelings are valuable, all their feelings are necessary, all their feelings will help them move in certain areas. Like sometimes you do need to be angry, and sometimes you do need to have fear, and sometimes you do have to have joy, and sometimes you're going to blend them, because we are emotional beings, and we need to be able to, like you said, self-regulate. And that's why Journal of Hope came up too, because I want to give the kids a tool as well, right? Than just not techniques, but a tool where they could self-regulate, because I just see it too often where kids can't. They don't have the self-awareness.
No, they don't have the skills.
Self-regulate, but they're smoking weed, and they're drinking, and they're vaping, and they're this, and like they okay to do that. So it's like we need to switch things around, because they are our future. They are the change, right? And we need to restore them and give them back the light that, like you said, your 6-year-old, she knows to touch you, right? That's number one. She knows to touch you. She knows to comfort you, and she knows to reassure you. That's innate in them. That is so, and it's in all of us.
Right.
But obviously through life and situations and trauma, that gets suppressed. But that is such a natural instinct for us to do. So we need to remind ourselves of that, and then encourage the little ones to keep doing it,
I'm convinced that a good portion of the depression and anxiety that we have in this country, whether it's with young people, teens, adults, has a lot to do with our lack of awareness, our lack of self-awareness, but also awareness of our surroundings, our inability to self-regulate, our inability to the lack of skills, healthy choices to calm ourselves down. So you're talking about vaping, smoking, teens and even adults, they're doing these things, drinking, using drugs, sexual, just having sexual encounters with, just to have them, just to get the connection, especially younger people. Years ago, I was having a conversation with someone in the massage field, and she brought up something that was so insightful, I thought. And she said, if you think about the history of how we took touch out of the school system, you know, like pre-K, kindergarten, maybe first grade, they're still hugging and comforting kids, but then all of a sudden starts to get very hands off as time progresses, which is so not natural for humans. Mm-hmm. And she said, you know, think about kids that when they get to be teenagers and all of a sudden their hormones kick in, the only thing that they associate with touch is sex. Mm-hmm. And I thought about that for a second, and I'm like, oh my God, that's like incredibly insightful. Because if you are a parent and you are on the go all the time and you don't even sit down to eat dinner with each other, or maybe you can't sit down and eat dinner with each other, but you don't have any downtime with your kids to sit. How was your day? You know, let's sit next to each other. Let's talk. Let's hold, you know, sit against each other so we're touching. And you're living these very separate lives, that there's going to be that longing for the connection, whether it's verbal, mental, emotional, or physical. And so your journal of hope is great, which again, we're going to get to in a moment, because it's giving kids, young adults too, a tool. It's saying, okay, this is one way that you can express yourself. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you can learn other ways to connect and express yourself, as opposed to going with the unhealthy choices that are out there, which unfortunately are socially accepted.
Mm-hmm. And they're in your face.
Yes, yeah. They are. Mm-hmm. Right. So what are they supposed to do? And when parents are doing this too, you know, we're not being great role models. You know, like I get periodically, you'll get things back from school. You know this because you have kids that are older. You'll get the emails or notes from the school saying, you know, oh, we've had incidents with kids vaping in the bathroom and blah, blah, blah. And my oldest daughter, I mean, my middle daughter and I will talk, and I'm like, so what do you think about this stuff? She's like, I think it's disgusting. And I'll be, but what, you know, how bad is it? She goes, oh, it's pretty bad. She's like, people do it. And I'm like, I'm dumbfounded as a parent, you know, but then I have friends that they're so okay with their kids vaping. Their kids are in high school. They're like, and I'm thinking, you know, are you that disconnected with the fact that these things are, you know, are known to be harmful, and they're finding more and more things out, aside from all the other stuff that's been around for a really long time, you know? So before we get into Journal of Hope and the conversation that you titled tonight, which by the way is Restore the Mind, Restore the Body, let's just dive a little bit into how your past has helped you create your present. And I'm hoping, it's up to you. You had shared a story with me on my morning show with Margie and I about a very pivotal moment at such a young age, which I thought was just absolutely, like, it gave me goosebumps when you shared it with me. And in all the years I've known you, I actually never knew that story. So just maybe give everyone a little bit of background on you. Okay. And how your journey's been to get you to the very grounded, beautiful woman that you are today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, trials and tribulations have a way to either plummet you into the earth, you know, where you're like literally hurting yourself and not excelling, and then you have your moments where it's your push, and mine was a push. So I don't talk about myself too much. I don't share too much because I'm not in a position where I want people to look at me differently, you know, but I have an understanding that it is time for me to share some stories, because sometimes mentally we get into a place where we think we're alone, or we think we can't do it. And I want people to know that if I did it, you could do it. And I'm not the only person that's done it. I'm not the only person who's gone through so much. Some that I created, and I will take responsibility for it, and some things that I didn't create that were just a part of my life. So it's all about taking responsibility. And so growing up, like I said before, I wasn't raised on this emotional, let me give you a hug, I love you. It didn't exist. And And when my dad died, I was 11 when he died. That became full force, in your face. This is the way we live life, right? And it was very traumatic, the event on its own, but also that the changes that came after. So my mom decided she wanted to move back to Puerto Rico. I was not fluent in the language at all. I understood it and I spoke a few words, but writing, reading, yeah, no, that wasn't happening. And but she thought that this was a decision best for her family, which at the time was solely her and I. And middle school, I think I did 6th grade here. She up and we left. It was hard. It was hard to go from Stamford, Connecticut to the country, to an island. You know, it was just, it was different. It was a culture shock. And at a pivotal time in my life,
Yes.
where I'm getting to know myself, where I'm creating connections, where I'm learning about life and changes and da-da-da-da. So, you know, the shit piled on. So we were talking on your morning show about intentions and when I had first set mine. And it was at a moment in my life where I didn't want to be here anymore. I wanted to die. I hated being on earth. I just couldn't. I didn't want to, and I couldn't. I didn't have anything left, right? Part of me died when my dad died. My family connections died when my dad died, not only because my mom opted to leave, but also they didn't follow through. They didn't connect. They didn't check in. Or if they did, it was a little bit in the beginning when people were trying to, you know, God forgive me, but when people were trying to get his stuff and the lamp and his coat and jewelry and this and that. But after that, it just dwindled. Like you stopped existing. And connecting with my new family in Puerto Rico, that was hard because no hablo español, you know, like we couldn't relate, and you're strangers. I love them now. Oh my God. Oh, like I'm upset I didn't go to Puerto Rico this year because I just wanted to be with them, sit with them, have a cup of coffee with them. Oh, I love them. But at the time, right, young me, I hate the world. I hate this. My dad's not here, blah, 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 blah. So I wanted to commit suicide, and I went to this beautiful rock that's behind my mother's house. It's gorgeous. Like one day I'll take a picture and I'll post it. It's a beautiful spot. And I sat on the rock with a knife in my hand, ready to just jam in and just go crazy on myself. And there was a moment of like stillness, and it was like, you're not going to do this. Just go to school, get good grades, and leave, right? Because the way I grew up is when you're 18, you can do whatever you want. And I still kind of say it to my son, but I'm like, no, 30. But because you don't know shit at 18. But I wrote that, and that was the first time I set an intention, which it was like, yeah, this hurt, and I'm sorry, Lori, I'm a little bit emotional today.
That's okay.
Like, yeah, this hurts, and yeah, this sucks, and I feel unloved, and there were cries for help, plenty of them, and nothing budged. Yeah, I came to a point where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. So the moment came in, the blessing came in, you know, I say it, you know, God and my guides, and I'm assuming my ancestors, like they must have came together and go, we need to shift this girl. At the moment, I didn't perceive it that way. At the moment, I perceived it as my idea, right? To just do it this way. And I did. I set my first intention, and I killed it. I killed it alone, but I killed it. I got off the rock. I went inside. I had a renewed spirit. I graduated with a 4.0. I took 11th and 12th grade in 1 year, and I was out. I killed it, and I learned the language, read and write it. I had, Mrs. Santiago. So my English teacher there, she really took me under her wing, gave me so much love while I was at Colegio San Miguel. And she helped me. She helped me transition. And there were some classmates that, because out in Puerto Rico, there's no textbook. There's dictation. And I didn't know how to write the language. So I had a few friends that would give me their journals, and I would copy their stuff. I annoyed the hell out of them by keep asking them for the damn journals, but it worked. And I self-taught myself. Literally insane. I self-taught myself a whole new language with no tools, no instruments. It was like brute force. Just do it. So I did it. And I want to say this. I love my mom. I love her, love her, love her. I do understand that she needed help. She didn't know how to ask for help, or she thought help only came in the form of her medication, which she needed. And I think there was a piece of not knowing how to balance being a single mother and one kid still in the house. So I have an older brother and sister, but it was still me, right? But blessings that she still had me, because she was able to collect financially because she had a child still in the house. And she was able to create the life that she did. You know, she went out there, she bought her house, she bought a car. And till this day, she lives very well. God bless. So it worked out in a sense. Okay. So then I went to college. I did a little bit of college stuff in Puerto Rico. I wanted to be a teacher, but depression, anxiety never left me, and I wasn't able to focus, and I wasn't able to self-regulate, and I was battling it. And again, I went back home and I cried for help, and I wasn't meant. It was more of a, it's time for you to go. So I came to the States, and I lived in New York for 8 months. I loved my time there. And then I moved back to Connecticut. Not that great of a welcoming that I expected, because my family over here, some of them, let me be kind, some of them, I don't know where their head's at or how they think certain behaviors or words or way of living are appropriate, but they greeted me with what they knew. And I created distance with some of them, and I'm okay with that, because I had already lost the connection. Like I came back to Connecticut with that hope, like, oh, my family will help me. They remember me. They know how I felt. They know the person that I am. And I met a wall again, and it was like it is what it is. I did go into Nobody Loves Me, I'm not gonna lie, but that propelled me to just move and do what I had to do. And I did. And I'm gonna say this, as much shit that I've been through and as much shit as I created, I still have to take responsibility. Yeah. And I still have to make a decision. And my decision was go. That's all it was. It was go. And along my timeline, God, oof, he's hit me. He's hit me. I'm going to give you one example. I was told by doctors in Puerto Rico and here that I could not bear kids. I could not have kids. There were cancer cells also in my uterus, and you weren't going to have kids. And I always wanted kids. And I knew this from the age of 15 or 16. So this wasn't new news to me. So I never gave up hope, but it was like, it's not going to happen, right? Okay, fine. So I'm in my 20s. I was heartbroken, and I went ham. I was going out every night. I was smoking cigarettes, slowly wanting to introduce weed, and I was drinking every night. I was out, I was done. And for me, God said, pump the brakes, and I know what's gonna simmer you down. And boop, here comes Daniel, you know, my firstborn. And man, what a connection I have with that kid. He teaches me patience, but what a connection I have with that kid. And that was a very pivotal moment in my life, because I couldn't let my trauma define me. I was responsible for another person. So in my opinion, that was another aha moment. Like at The Rock, here was another one where there was an intervention. There's a what are you doing type thing. And it has happened before. That's why when COVID happened, with all respect to anybody that suffered or were broken or felt broken, I've been here. So it didn't move me the way it moved everybody else. I don't operate from lack. Although there was no money coming in, I don't operate from lack. And I just took this as something that I had to go through, and it was gonna be okay. We've done this before. And so that's the attitude that I had. And I think that it is important, and people don't kill me, I think it's important for us to go through trials and tribulations, because they strengthen you, they give you power. And that's why we need to have the ability to remember that, to record that, so that when we can look back, we could go, wow, I did that. It's like you the other day, you were telling me how you used me as an example to your clients. And in my head, I'm like, why? I didn't do anything. What is she talking about? But it is that. It's like, because I don't see it because I'm living it.
Right.
But once somebody else points it out or you reflect, then you go, wow, like, yeah, you did that. And we also have a problem going, good job, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But all that kind of integrated into how I function now. And I needed those moments. While I was going through stuff, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, why me? You know, because I've been through it. Like every label you got, like domestic violence victim, I wear that label here. You know, molestation, I wear that label here. Right? A child that was groomed, I wear that label here. You know, neglect, I wear that one here. And the reality is like, those labels, that's why I don't like titles. I don't, and I don't, you know, people ask me what your title is. Daiana is enough of a title. I mean, Daiana Negron is enough of a title. It's because I wear a lot of labels, but labels don't define you.
No.
They just box you, you know?
Yes.
And I am more than, for example, in my business, I'm more than a massage therapist. I'm more than a Reiki practitioner. I'm more than a mentor. I'm more than a mother. I'm more than a Latina. And so it is beautiful to know who you are, but it's also beautiful to know that those things don't define you. And
That's
when
right.
you stop seeking connection to the labels, to wearing certain hats, is when you'll be free, and free to be you and express yourself the way you want to express yourself. And that is the beauty within trauma. That is the beauty, that it really helps you discover who you are. And if you're not strong in a certain area, because I'm not going to say every single mother can do what I did, right? They're going to have to pull from a different area, from whether it's tribe or family. And I would not recommend anybody to do what I did. Lord have mercy. There are plenty of moments where I wish somebody would have checked in. And I'm so strong that I've had people tell me in my own face, we don't worry about D. D got it. No, D don't got it. Call me. Ask me if I need milk. Ask me if I need a cup of water. Ask me, you know, it's like, no, D doesn't always got it. Now, do I still keep striving forward and doing what I have to do? And I move a lot for my kids. You know, I brought them here. I am 100% responsible for them, whether daddy cares or not, whether daddy is capable of opening himself to them. No matter what, nothing stops me from making sure that I move for them. And at the same time, now that I'm getting older, I want to leave a legacy. I want to break ancestral curses. I want to make sure that the generations that follow, they carry a name that is connected to what our ancestors did previously, which was a lot of healing, a lot of spiritual work, in whatever shape or form that it needs to come out within that person. But also for them to understand that they move from abundance, they move from love, that is just innate in them. Like if you see Lily, ooh, like Lily's a gift to all of us, and she just moves and operates in a different space. And now she's going through some shifts with light and dark, and she'll say it. She's very vocal about things. But this girl, anybody that meets her is in awe, is in a place of giving, is in a place of opening up. Like I've seen people who look tougher than me melt with her, and it's her spirit, it's the
Yes.
love that she like gives off. And that's what I want more within my lineage, but also with the kids that I touch with any mentorship or I'm a huge volunteer. I encourage everybody out here, find a program to volunteer at, but I'm huge in that because you don't know what you might do. And it's not about 100 kids, it's about one person.
That's right.
Or like, you know how we do this thing about, you know, holding the door for somebody and stuff like that. We need more moments like that, more moments of doing something of kindness to someone else. Because I'm telling you, just with smiling at someone, that's one of my new practices, is just smile when I see people. Is like, you might brighten their day. You might switch what they're mentally telling themselves, what conversations they're having as they walk, whatever. So I think like those are key things for us to do. But and my story is just that. It's just a story. I'm not there anymore. And yes, my eyes get watery because that is some stuff that I'm still healing, that I'm still working on. And eventually I need to sort it out, because it does come out in my relationships. It comes out, just the relationships. Yeah, it comes out of my relationships with people. So I need to work it out and sort it out. But it's also an ability for people to understand that A, you're not alone. B, go through the motions, see what it's about, and you'll understand that there is a resilience in you that no one can take away. And the third thing is like I said, it's just a story. You can't sit there retelling the same thing over and over and over again, because if you don't have depression, you'll create depression. If you don't have anxiety, you will create anxiety.
Yes.
Because you're constantly with the same story. Boo-hoo me, boo-hoo me. All respect to everybody that's gone through something. You gotta let it go. You have to sing the Frozen song, whatever you gotta do. Just, you have to, seriously, you gotta just belt it out. You have to, because let me tell you something. Even if somebody did something to you, with you retelling the story, you're not hurting them. They're fine.
Yes.
They did their deed. They are fine. You are tormenting yourself for no reason. For no reason. Is it important to self-reevaluate and sit down and ask the right questions and check in? Absolutely. You can't do that for more than 3 or 4 days. You gotta, or I talked to Lori today about how my son aggravated me, and then I go tell my friend Monique how my son, and then I go tell, no, stop. Find a person who you connect on that topic or that subject, or you respect their advice, let it out, say it, right? Or you go within and you write it down, or you sit and you ask yourself questions, but you got to do something with it, and then let it go. Like, let it be, because that recording, and I know it because I've done it to myself, it does.
We've all done it. Yes.
And it prevents you from excelling, because if I would have stayed with my stories, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And
no, because you stay in the past. Your past becomes your present. And if you want a different future, you have to change your present moment.
So that's why restoring the mind restores the body. That
was a good segue, by the way.
It's all entwined, yes.
You did that on purpose.
Entwined, yeah. No, but it is. But there's a reality to it. It's like we have to heal. This is powerful. Not always helpful. I'm not gonna say it's always helpful, because if I were to plug a mic into my thoughts in the conversations that I have on my own, you'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we'd all be there.
Yeah. Or the self-hate that we have. Like, I could call myself a bitch, but you can't call me a bitch. But that's the thing, is we pollute ourselves. So the mind has its strength and has its weaknesses. And we need to target more the strengths and the purpose of the mind, so that we can start talking to our body and loving our body, and come on, cells, let's do what we got to do. And it's more than just fueling it with food. You got to fuel it spiritually. You got to fuel it with love. There's different aspects of you, and whatever you connect with is what you do. But you need to fuel this, and you need to be mindful that the brain doesn't like change. The brain is not all that encouraging when you want to lose weight, or when you want to create a new habit, or when you want to invest in something. Our brain is like, no, I like it where I'm at. I'm not doing nothing. Leave me alone. I'm good. I want to wake up at 9 a.m. Leave me alone. I want to go to sleep at 2 a.m. Leave me alone. And we have to train it. We have to retrain it so that it's operating at its highest frequency. And then that'll change everything else. Then you start investing in yourself. My self-care practices is massage. I do receive, since I learned the technique, I received it. And I love melting on the table and relaxing. I do receive energy work. I do a lot of indigenous work as well on myself. And you got to take the pieces, the tools that help you be you. And so it will not all look the same, because we are not all the same.
That's right. Everybody's journey is different.
But as long as you're investing, that's key. And you have to start with your mind. And I know a lot of people go, positive thinking, blah, blah, blah. No, there's something to it. There is something to it. Try it. Wake up and just say a few words to yourself. Have gratitude when you get out of bed. Say some empowering words to yourself. Read some daily affirmations, and just see. And don't do it for a week. That's BS. Do it for at least a month, 30 days.
I agree.
See how it feels, and you'll understand that it's not BS. And we live in a world that gives us 3 minutes of snapshots of horrible stuff, right? And this is part of the news. And we're like this, yeah, oh my God, did you watch that? But if you see a commercial about meditation, you're like, what are they doing? I gotta go. I got stuff to do, right? And that's the thing, is like, we need to restore ourselves in peace. That's what we need to do. And that's what we need to do with our stories, is restore ourselves, mind and body. And I promise you, everything else falls into place. Everything that you need to make you better falls into place. And there's no struggle. Let me tell you, I know there's a saying of, if it comes too easy. What is the saying? Do you know the one?
I know what you're saying, but I don't know the saying offhand.
Yeah, so there's like, if it comes too easy, you got to question it. No, we weren't meant to struggle. We were meant to ask and ye shall receive. And that's like in all the religions, in non-traditional religions, in spirituality, and whatever you do, that is across the board. Everybody's saying that. So there's something to it. But you have to operate not in this, I want a car type thing, but you need to operate in a place where you're whole, you want to give back to your community, you want to serve, and then other stuff starts coming in so that you can be able to give, right? You receive to be able to give. And people need to understand that is the way of life. You want to be in peace. You don't want to struggle. You don't want to have to question everything. One thing should be, will this propel me forward? Yes, I do believe in that, because not every business deal, not every acquaintance that you meet, not every new relationship that you get into is meant for you. So yeah, you have to ask yourself certain questions, but when you start working in positivity, when you start working in gratitude, then things just happen. You can't even explain it, and people call you crazy, and you go, okay, I'll live like me. I'll live my crazy life. Ugh, I love it. I love it. I love that God talks to me. I love that I have a relationship with God. I love that I have a relationship with my ancestors. I love that I have a relationship with myself. Yes, hugs for me. I love it, and I'll continue doing it because that's what's working for me, and people need to start doing what works for them.
Beautifully said. I mean, seriously, beautifully said.
Thank
And
you.
with that, we have about 8 minutes left, and I
Okay.
want you to dedicate that to the conversation on Journal of Hope. So let everybody know what Journal of Hope is, and how it came about, and what it offers, and how people can get involved with it.
So everybody now knows that I love to volunteer. And one of the places that I keep going back to is the educational system. So I volunteer a lot of time in the schools. And in 2018, I had done a visit to Trailblazers Academy, and I saw some stuff that upsetted me, that really hit my heart. And it was like these teens, it was a middle school. These teens did not have the tools to self-regulate. They were like all over the place. And the teachers, I don't know how much help they could have really A, offered, or B, had the capacity to offer. So for me, it was a hot mess, what I call a hot mess. And I had decided that I'm not going to sit there and bash them, right? And just blah, 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 and tell everybody no, I wanted to create a solution.
Yes,
And the
beautiful.
solution was to do workshops there. So I came in first to discuss massage therapy, because it is a trade, right? And it is something that the kids can consider if they didn't want to do like a 4-year college course. So I went in started with that. Then I started doing some self-care workshops. And then in the midst of that, there was like, you should give journals. And I was like, yeah, that helped me. And then, that's a whole other story, is that journaling helped me transition throughout all these years. And I still have these journals. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of them were like, Dear Diary, he don't like me no more. But they were a tool to express myself when I felt nobody wanted to hear me, right? When I didn't have friends, when nobody loved me. That was an awesome tool for me at the time. And I still journal. I have a few of them, all for different reasons. And so I was like, okay, I want journals. Okay, we're not rich right now, right? I think I had 2 years into the business. First year was rough, creating the clientele, getting my name out, because I came from the security industry world, right? Boss lady, security operations to massage therapist, woo-woo stuff. And it was like, it's a huge polarity,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to transition in. And so I didn't have the finances to be able to do what I wanted to do. It's a different thing to do a speaking engagement. You just get up and go, versus now you're gifting something. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask for journals. That on its own was difficult because I don't ask for anything, but I had to step out of my comfort zone to do something for these girls. It was a girls group that I was working with. And bam, wham, I created this little outline, with the guidelines of buying the journal. So the donator would buy the journal. They would write an affirmation, positive words, words of encouragement on the back, and then they would bring it to me, and I would donate it to the group. The outpour of beautiful people that came to donate was amazing. And not only that, I had one friend who had an experience herself happen to her in the midst of this, where she wrote to me, and I've posted it on my Instagram at _Journal of Hope _, where she was like, where were you when I was this age? I needed this. And so it helped her heal in the process of giving to someone else. I would have never imagined that. I thought people would just buy and hear. No, people were having experiences. I had recently, I did another collection in March for an event we were going to have. I had a teacher who started crying, remembering that journaling helped her through her parents' divorce. And so all these people were also having an experience with it. And that was the beauty of it all, that without me even trying, I was impacting women, adults. So boom, we got our donors. Thank you all. I love you so much. I've shot out a lot of them on the Instagram page, and they know I love them. Big hugs. I'm a hugger now, awkwardly. I'll ask for permission, don't worry, because I don't always like hugs. But we were able to collect that first time. I want to say at the time was maybe 30 to 40 journals. We got those journals. I did a workshop and I gifted it to the girls. Oh my God, they were like clenching it, like thank you. And I'll say this, from that group, I felt that I had spoken to 3, but I impacted 1. And that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. Like, you do stuff, and at the moment, you might not understand the immense power that you have harnessed to sow the seed. But it does have a ripple effect, and it did. And this young lady, next time I saw her, she was wearing a pendant with crystals, and her aura was different, and like she was free, like somebody, like I saw her type thing. And it was such a new experience, and that's what you want to achieve, whether you're doing a nonprofit or not. You want to empower people. So the school shut down. I wasn't able to continue with the workshops, and then I started doing some leadership classes. They had required a project, and I really want to focus on IEPs. I have a serious battle with the Board of Education when it comes to kids having their needs met that they are required to. And then it was suggested that I focus on Journal of Hope because it's something that I actually had going on. So full force, Journal of Hope, like let's get logo, let's get content, let's get a board together. What is it going to look like? All that came together, and here we are, right? We have a dope Instagram page. Our social media content is being run by one of the girls from Trailblazers Academy, Jada Dupree, one of my babies. And it's going great. We have an awesome team that came together, that gives their insight, that cares from the core. Let me say that again. And really wants to empower these kids through Journal of Hope. And going forward, we want to keep empowering kids to have self-reflection, to have self-awareness. The journal is a tool for them to be able to express themselves, whether it's with words, whether it's with a drawing, whether it's with lyrics, something I was trying to get my son, who was a wannabe rapper back in the day, to do, like just at least write a verse, you know. Whether it's doing vision boards on the journal, whether it's goal setting on the journal, whatever you need for it to look like, you have it. And that is the purpose of it. Going forward, I do want to offer workshops. I do want to bring in guest speakers. I want other people to tell their stories. I really want our kids to connect with us. I think there's a disconnect, and I think there's a little bit of an illusion of what life is about. And we need to really grab these little kids. We really do. And lovingly do a little shake and go, no, this is the way this is. You need to take care of yourself, and this is how you do it. And so that's what Journal of Hope is doing. And I hope that, well, I know people are going to connect with this, because we need to use our voice. We need to. And we all, no matter what age we are, we know it's important to use our voice. And I think that a lot of people will resonate with this, and they'll come on board, whether they're an ambassador and they're vocalizing what we do, whether they're getting involved in committees, whether they're donors, whether they're people that just see us on the street and give us a high five and go like, thank you, that's so cool. I know that that will happen. And I'm excited, and I'm excited to empower these kids, because they are our future. You guys want change? We need to work with these kids. We need to heal ourselves. That's the only way we're going to do it, because they're looking at us, then they're looking hard. And when you least expect it, they're looking at you, because Lily be saying stuff to me sometimes. And I'm like, she's watching me when I don't even notice that she's watching. So we need to be mindful of that, and give to these kids, mold them, but allow them to be themselves. They are not us. Like, my kids are not me. They have characteristics of me, but they are not me. I might want you to be an example. You a yoga instructor, you a trainer, you a leader, but that's not what they might want, even though I see the highest version of them, right? It's about giving them the instruments to mold and create themselves, and be okay with making a mistake, because when I messed up, I could write it on my journal. When I learn from it. Yeah, when I didn't follow up with something, I wrote it on my journal, or I noticed that I didn't check this off, right? It's a timestamp of what we're going through. And when you do excel, you do something great. And I said this to you before when I did your show, and we were talking about intentions. I put it in one of my journals with some information that had came to me about the keyword power. And I was able to go back and go, done. And I wrote a big heart, and I was like proud of it. And when you open my journal, that one's my book of ideas. When you open that one and you see that heart in red, you know that girl was happy. You know she did it. She rocked it. And so while we all go through trials and tribulations, while we all grow, while we all experience this world as human beings, the journal gives you an ability to go back and go, this worked, this didn't work. I did this, I didn't do this. Why? Is important, it's not important, blah, blah, blah. And that's how you move forward. And I hope that, I know that the kids will get it. I know that the kids will love to have their journals, and journaling is not for everybody. But we all write, we all doodle, and we just need to plant the seed. And for those kids that are not big on journaling, because I have my own that are not big on journaling, Journal of Hope will provide whatever they need to get to the next level. Mm-hmm. And if it's just somebody to be there and talk to and have a sense of community, and because not always when my kids talk to me, they feel I understand them. But if they talk to someone else, they might feel that way. Well, Journal of Hope's community is going to offer that. We're a family. We're here for you. And we want you to know that and to feel that, right? It's not just this talk, right? It's not just this selling. It's a reality, because we have people on our board that know how important that is, that we ourselves long for connections, healthy connections. And so what we long for is what we give out. And then that'll multiply, and forget about it. So be on the lookout for Journals of Hope. We do have an Instagram page. It's @_Journal of Hope _. Please show some love to Jada. She's doing a great job, and our board has created some awesome content for you guys. So I know, boop again, I know you're gonna follow us. You're gonna follow us. I'm all about words. You gotta be careful what you're putting out there. So I know you're gonna follow us, and you're gonna encourage us, and you're gonna love the process with us and join the Journal of Hope community. Lori, thank you. Thank you for giving me this platform. I know we talked about this 2 years ago, right? We've been talking about this, and we're here now, and this is beautiful. This is a beautiful platform that you have created to A, give people voice, but B, to empower the community at large, because even if you post it on a Thursday, somebody who desperately needs to hear some empowering stuff could hear it any day, at any
That's
time,
correct.
at their convenience, and be empowered and be moved. And you're doing some really cool stuff. Like, thank you.
Because I'm lucky to have people like you coming on to the show, which is just beautiful. And I'm going to leave you with a quote, because there's a quote that stuck with me for about 10 years, and I'm not a quote person. Who said it? It's different people they quote. It's different names every time. So I'm just going to say unknown. But the quote says, "To the world you are one person, but to one person you are the world."
Yes.
And with you, Dee, I think that it's not just one person that you are the world. It's the world you are the world. You are creating that, and you're planting that vision in everybody, and that hope, which is a perfect title for that organization. So, and I'm very honored to know you and be friends with you and adore you and love you and be part of all of this journey with you. So thank you so much for coming on. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. This is just absolutely beautiful. And yes, I was getting teary-eyed too. She was getting teary-eyed, so I was getting teary-eyed through this. So you guys, thank you so much for joining, and we will see you guys next week on Mindful Conversations. Again, I'm Dr. Lori Monaco with Align Yourself, Inc. And remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary. Peace.
Yeah.
Everybody.